The reason why some attorneys do this is for consistency reasons. Um, with my attorney, he wanted to see um, some type of information so that he could lead with that, and then we could get on to questioning me. It never got to questioning me because she kept changing her answers. It was like an improv show. I don't know. She went from one tangent, yes, to another tangent, no, and then she went on a tangent to explain why it was yes and no, which was totally oblivious. When you can differentiate between a yes and a no answer, it makes you look discredited. Um, and then there was like a moment where we asked the question again, and she went off on a total tangent where it was not a yes or no question anymore. It was more of a stage performance. Like, she had nowhere to go with this question. I can't really tell you what the question was, but it was remarkable. And then we took out some of our evidence because we needed a statement from that prosecution witness. Because the judge wanted consistency. The DA kept telling us, sustained, you can't lead a witness, you can't do this. We were showing her pictures of her own pictures, her own evidence we were presenting back to her. And we were asking, how tall is Miss Montero? She's sitting right over there. And we've stated it in the previous witness's account. How tall is Miss Montero? Um, I'm 5'2". It's been on my learner's permit. It's been on my. It's kind of been the nail in the coffin my entire life. I'm the shortest one in my family, and it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm like almost Napoleon size, so you know. But she couldn't answer that question. Let's put it to you that way. So, and then there was some more questions that were just reviews of the last witness. She couldn't answer those. It was very weird. It was kind of like she rehearsed it because she couldn't stay consistent. She was kind of like going through like answers and questions and stuff. Like, it was an improv show. Like, she like switch, like you say a line, switch, next line, switch, next line, switch. She was trying to appease my lawyer. My lawyer is a seasoned veteran of law and all this. And he knows a liar when he sees one. He knows that she was purging herself. Oh, basically gave her the shovel to dig her own hole. But, yeah, she just kept on until the DA, which was on her side, told her to shut up. And a judge said, well, she can continue. I know that she didn't stop when he said sustained before. Um, and she continued. She said some rather vulgar things addressed to me, where my attorney that I was with asked if I would be okay coming home that night. Um, Very vulgar, very kind of cross. And this is a woman witness, and she said something that was provocative, that like a perverted man would say to a woman, just to see a rise out of me. And with me, I'm ice water usually. And he's like, are you gonna feel okay, like, going home tonight? And I said, I have stuff, for protection reasons only. And he told me that I should probably take a self-defense course, because of kind of that vulgar, you know, comment. And it was addressed towards me. I mean, she couldn't say my height, age, weight, anything. She didn't know me from Adam. She heard through the grapevine who I was, what I was doing, the fact that my property was out on the edge of the street there. but didn't know me as a person, didn't know my reasoning for the way I was with certain people in the group that was trying to prosecute me for other shit. But this group constantly is like hooligans. They want to see a rise out of people. They poke the bear way too many times. Homeowners and people have complained that they either scam them out of their money or do other things. Really, they should have been prosecuted for that. My friend, who I've known my entire life, off and on, she's a little bit older than I am. She's probably my best friend in the whole neighborhood. But yeah, she's elderly. But like if I'm half the woman she is, I think I'm in good shape. Um, she came in earlier that week about her case. They had scammed her out of 5 grand. They actually took her checkbook, wrote bogus checks in her name, and took her pension. So she had sued them over that. And we had that as a resource. And we even asked this witness that couldn't stay consistent about this court case because she was going off on a tangent about herself, and her group of people. Like they were like outstanding citizens, they help the elderly, they do this. And my attorney just couldn't help himself. As soon as we presented that information, she was enraged. And that just proved. Um, the tone throughout the entirety of the witness's account was hatred towards me. It was very vulgar. It was very, what you call, she said something about the way I was dressed. It wasn't like bad or good. It was just like, oh, you know, you always wear those clothes and we know it's you. And the judge and my attorney asked, what kind of clothes does Miss Montero wear usually? Oh, the clothes that she wears when she wears clothes, kind of like being vulgar in the fact that I have an OnlyFans account. Um, I have an OnlyFans account because I took pictures of my feet for a while there as fun, to help my mother pay some bills. But, you know, that wasn't what was asked. So she got a mark for being off subject again. So I didn't have to answer those questions. I just felt it was vulgar. I think she was trying to get a rise out of me. But in a courtroom, I've been in a courtroom probably 500 times. So it really didn't bother me all that much. Like, seriously. Um, I did have the best lawyers, and we used half our evidence that we researched. Um, my research was basically every single known rule known to man of a comparison between one to the other, with this group versus other groups that were in the area that did pretty much the same thing, and the record and scale of operation. Um, the other research was much better than mine, but I concur. Um, hmm. I won my case based on a judge's conclusion. The judge believed that I was the victim of hooliganism, which I thought was funny. Her review I got in an email. That she felt sorry for me and my family for going through something like this with a group that was scamming people in the area, and they were targeting me because I was kind of the mouthpiece, and I would always try to fight for my friends that were elderly, for friends that I've known my entire life, and I was always there. Okay, I was that friend. I was always going to be the asshole on Bound. So, let's put it to you that way. But I would never leave my friends or somebody that I've known my entire life, even if we have disagreements on certain things. I would never leave somebody that needed me out of the fucking loop. The only people I wouldn't stand with is people that were doing this on the constant. They were scamming elderly, they were scamming newlyweds, they were scamming children, literal children, 9 year olds, out of money, their lunch money. So it was like just bullies on the street. And knowing me, I always was kind of like the vigilante of my friends to like go in for it and not really think first. Like, it was pretty tragic. And me going to prison, that was just icing on the cake. We were going to trial no matter what, because when I go to prison, that's a sign I need to beef up security. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of underlying um, questionable behaviors by the prosecution that the DA even said, yeah, we fold. Um, like, I knew I didn't have the cards to win a case, but I knew that my research, my tarot cards, my intuition was not wrong. Um, a lot of the evidence couldn't be authenticated. A lot of the explanations for certain reasoning behind certain things didn't make sense. We had a witness come in that was not who she said she was, and I was just like, this is an actress. This was paid by this group to throw a monkey wrench into things, or to get a rise out of me so that I would be whatever. But, yeah, it really was just, I was like, she could have said anything on that stand, and I was just ice water. I was just looking at her like blankly. I was just like, really? You're gonna go through like just random shit like a childhood bully? Like, that's weird. But I've healed from everything. Like, I've accepted myself, warts and all, with um, healing from torment of my father, my uncle who was abusive, a lot of my abusive relationships I was in, and stuff like that. But you really have to be a class A asshole using that in your prosecution. Um, Kind of making it sound like I don't have friends, that I don't have people standing with me at all times. I could be alone in a crowd and feel like the room's too crowded. Like, I'm that type of person. My own energy is bigger than what I give my body credit for on a regular basis. That's how they didn't know what height I was, because my energy is bigger than my body gives me credit for. Um, Thank you, John Mayer, for those lyrics. They were beautiful. But the the whole thing was just like trying to make me out to be a bad person. Um, and the prosecution really had no basis for it. It was just total hatred. They were trying to have the police go in on that hatred, like, I do this all the time. I'm the hooligan that was messing up their schedule, whatever. And to be honest with you, I can see it from both sides. But when you intentionally take advantage of people that have been in the community for a while, that shaped the community to what it was, and then you're trying to take credit for that, that irks me a little bit. Like, you can't take credit for something that you've been 4 years in the making in. Like, it's ridiculous. And they were posing as, I don't know, some type of HOA type of thing. They were trying to claim that they were an HOA. They were also trying to claim that they were running a charity for some basis of, like, I don't know, autism. It's like, really? But, like, the witnesses they had were overzealous on their own shit. Like, the ego there was just ridiculous. And I was just sitting there with my attorney, And there was a point where me and my attorney literally had an entire conversation in whispered hush because it, like, the prosecution was going nowhere. I mean, we could have had a steady conversation for like 60 minutes, like, and it wouldn't matter. Like, the prosecution would never get out of their two-step mode. Like, it was just that type of thing. Um, I might have not had the winning cards at the time, but I did have friends. I did have friends in high places that I didn't know of. I had attorneys, I had people that didn't have trial that day come in and see my trial. And there's a total, I think, of like about 26 courtrooms in that building, I think. And everybody who was left over just kind of came into like the room and saw our case. Like, attorneys that have been in law for a while. We had other DAs come in and sit down, and we had other witnesses, plaintiff's defense, all come in because it was the end of the day trial. And mine was the only trial scheduled for that day. Because I told my attorneys, I said, if we're having trial, we're having trial. I'm not having plea deals. I'm not making bargains. I'm not fucking around with these people anymore. I've had it. I'm up to here with it. I went to prison for some bullshit that they said to some police officers. If I have to be carried out on a gurney, we're going to trial today. Okay? I don't care what we gotta do. You make sure that the DA is ready. Make sure you're ready. Make sure I'm ready. Make sure the fucking prosecution gets their act together. I wasn't going down without a fight, and I came out of the fucking courtroom swinging. I literally opened the door as soon as the judge concluded the case, and I was on the ground floor after that. I was not fucking around with these people. I didn't want to see these people again in my life. I just feel like they were just bad eggs from the word go. And knowing that they just put somebody in the fucking courtroom and rehearsed some shit, they should have been locked up for that. I hope they're locked up for a while, if anything. But I trust the judge's conclusion. I can't tell you what the conclusion was because it is complicated. But yeah, the judge, I think, was a fair judge. The judge didn't want anything getting out that was not authenticated by actual people that could authenticate things. Um, she didn't want certain evidence coming out because of personal, private reasons, and didn't want certain things coming out that was vulgar. Um, they tried to use my OnlyFans account against me. Um, it only has feet pics. I even showed the judge on the first day I had my conviction. That was like the day after I was in prison for not serving a trip to the trial, and I apologized to the judge, and I said, you know, I didn't even know there was something out on me because it never showed up on my attorney's board, and it didn't show up on my board because, you know, I can look that up. So, you know, it's that type of thing. Also, I think I'm going to do a part 3. But also, there was some information that I felt was put in there in order to intimidate me in some way, and I didn't really like push into it, didn't really react. My grandfather was an attorney, so he's like, people can throw out anything, even the kitchen sink, and if you don't feel secure with yourself, you're going to react in a way that a judge is going to look at you kind of strangely and say that you're guilty of something when you're not, and it's just a fluff information that is trying to make a false, like, confirmation. Like, they can be talking and then they mention something about your OnlyFans account, or they mention something about your tarot readings, or the fact that you worship the devil, or whatever the hell they want to assume. Um, I've been Catholic my entire life. Like, I'll be honest with you. I'm not practicing Catholic. I'm more of like the subgenre of Catholic. Um, it's like it's like the Jewish Catholics. We give stuff to other people due to how a day went, which is kind of funny. Um, so it's Catholic guilt mixed with Jewish cheapness, but yeah, I like my religion the way it is. It embraces every side of me. I love giving to people, and I love talking to people. I think the Jewish side of my family is more talkative, and I feel that way when I'm in a Jewish temple. Um, it's like an Orthodox Catholic. It's funny, but yeah, we talk a lot. Jews always talk a lot. Catholics not so much. Catholics are more kind of like peace be with you. We have crackers and then we leave. But I was baptized both. I was baptized also Methodist, and I was also baptized Zion. So I have four different things that I was baptized as, which I felt was interesting. I found records of that in my own thing. But, like, it gives you a broader span of, like, how people feel about shame, consequence, and stuff like that. My parents and my grandparents didn't want me, like, not seeing the world as a round circle, but wanted to see it more to a ground level, like, Google Maps or something. But I like talking to people. I love talking to people. But I just don't like it when I already know somebody's out to take advantage of somebody else. I don't like people that just come around, oh, and I heard about you and all this. I don't give a shit. Heard about me what? From somebody who doesn't like me? Really, you're taking circumstantial fucking evidence of hearsay to use as evidence in a courtroom. You don't know me from Adam, but you're going to use that in a courtroom. A gossip off the street, and that's evidence. No, even the judge threw that out. So, um, yeah, but I like talking to people. I think I've talked to everybody who's willing to say the truth to me. Let's put it to you that way. I believe that a lot of people that have a lot to hide, first impression is going to be kind of ears to the ground and shell shock. Okay. Not a not exactly like defensive, because I have friends that were kind of hard to read at first, and then we became friends over time. But a lot of people lead with the fist first if they see you as a threat. Let's put it to you that way. With me, they saw me as a threat always because they could lose everything, which they did in this case. But you're going to go under oath, purge yourself, say things aren't so. Um, the witness that was kind of off kilter said that she witnessed me do something. And if she was a real witness, she would have said, no, I didn't. Because my alibi says I wasn't even there. Around the time that tape was taken, I was literally checking out at Hobby Lobby. And I had those receipts copied and in my file. I mean, I researched myself like a fucking good FBI agent would. But I had receipts. I had day vacations that I took with my mother because we wanted to go see a show or whatever. I had tickets from Christmas when my grandmother was alive. That was like 10 years ago or something. Um, but I had every single trip I've ever taken out of state in my folder when I went. And I only used one of my evidence pieces that had all my receipts on that day, um, that I copied. I was just doing that for fun, and sure enough, it's the evidence you need. Um, I don't know. The whole case was very weird. It was kind of like trying to poke the bear for reasons unknown. Like, you're gonna poke me? Like, really? And when the prosecution was offended over me existing, okay, any question that was like about me, they were offended. And the judge saw that, like, just hated my guts, wanted me to rot in hell or jail or whatever. And would voice those opinions on the stand, which the DA told them to cut out. And DA was their attorney. So it was like those people couldn't be controlled, and it was a hostile environment. So I will go through my notes and all the cards and everything. So you kind of know what I experienced and stuff without getting into too much detail because, I have to live here again. And I'm still trying to place that woman, like, I'm just like, she has to be a friend of one of the neighbors that are, like, adjacent to me. But, yeah, it's like hooliganism to the third percent. It's like the weirdest thing. But anyway, I'm gonna go over these cards. I kind of did it backwards. Usually I do the cards first. I know I did the animal cards, and I did the divine feminine cards, but I'll do the review of the actual tarot. That's alright. Because I didn't do those first, and I should have, but, presentation is everything. Do that in the next reading, I guess. It's just a wrap up, really. Alright, I can put my female guidance people over here, and I will take my animal cards and put them over here too. All my guides are on the sides, like my attorney was, so that's cool. We're gonna get into the review of the cards. But yeah, the case was just ridiculous. We were out there in time. We got out there at like probably 5 or 7. I don't remember. I was too exhausted to look at my watch. But like everything that happened after that case, it came back to like the gravitational pull of my own energy. Like, I know who I am as a person, and that's basically all you need at times of desperation. It's better to go to trial sometimes than it is to deal, you know.